My name is Anna, and if someone had told me that my life would take such an unexpected turn, I would never have believed it. For 7 years, I lived a quiet routine next to Luca, the man I loved deeply and considered my safe haven. Every day seemed written in a serene script, without shocks, and I thought that nothing could break that peace. But life, with its unpredictability, had something very different in store. Paolo, Luca's father, had always been a respectable figure in our family, a man with a distinguished appearance and an affable character. I had always seen him as a mentor, someone who embodies wisdom and kindness. But over time, without me realizing it, his attitudes began to change. There was something in his gaze, a new light, an intensity that I couldn't ignore. Those furtive glances were not casual. They spoke of a desire that Paolo tried with all his strength to repress. At first I convinced myself that it was all a figment of my imagination. Yet every time our eyes met, a strange tension crept into the air. It was as if every silence between us hid unspoken words, secrets that were looking for a way to emerge. And then that evening came. After dinner, while I was clearing the table, Paolo approached me. His hand touched mine, and a sudden shiver ran down my spine. "Sorry," he murmured in a small voice. But when I looked up at him, there was something in his eyes that was impossible to ignore, an intimacy full of unspeakable promises. That night I couldn't sleep a wink. 1,000 thoughts overlapped in my mind, a whirlwind of emotions that I didn't know how to manage. I felt confused, guilty, but also incredibly attracted. How could I feel such an attraction to my father-in-law? It was absurd, wrong, but I couldn't deny the intensity of those feelings. In the following days, I tried to avoid it, to pretend that nothing had happened. But living under the same roof, every meeting, every word exchanged, seemed to light a spark that grew bigger and bigger. Luca, unaware of everything, continued to live his daily life, while I struggled in an internal storm. One morning, while I was making coffee in the kitchen, Paolo entered without making a sound. He approached me, and in a low, firm tone said, "We need to talk, Anna." His gaze was serious, almost solemn. I nodded, unable to find the words to respond. We met in the afternoon, in the deserted garden of the house. Luca was at work, and for the first time I found myself alone with Paolo, in a moment that I knew would change everything. He took my hands gently in his, and I felt a tremor that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. "I know it's wrong," he began, "but I can't hide how I feel about you anymore." Every word was a bolt of lightning shooting through me. Part of me wanted to escape, to erase that moment, but another, deeper and more visceral, just wanted to let go of that forbidden emotion. In a small voice I replied, I feel something too, but Luca, we can't do this to him." My voice trembled, filled with fear and desire. Paolo nodded slowly. "I know," she said. "I love him as much as you do, but maybe there's a way to not hurt anyone." Those words left me breathless, a proposal that seemed impossible, yet incredibly seductive at the same time. From that moment, our world changed. Weeks of reflections, doubts, and fears followed that conversation. How could we have proposed something like this to Luca? Every possibility seemed fraught with risk, yet it was Luca himself who gave us the opportunity, in a completely unexpected way. During a relaxed evening, after a few glasses of wine, he began to talk about his most hidden fantasies. In an intimate tone, he mentioned the idea of seeing me with another man, a thought that seemed to both excite and test him. Paolo and I exchanged a knowing look, knowing that that moment was the opening we were looking for. "What if," I began, my heart pounding, What if that man was your father? Silence fell on the room, and for a moment I feared I had destroyed everything. But Luca looked at us, first at me, then at his father, and unexpectedly smiled. "You've been talking, right? I've noticed how you look at each other lately." Those words, spoken with disarming calm, paved the way for a conversation that would change our lives. With incredible ease, we discussed the rules that would define this new phase of our lives: absolute honesty, mutual respect, and the ability to stop at any time if anyone felt uncomfortable. It was the beginning of something completely new, of a journey that would lead us to discover dimensions of love and connection we had never imagined. Communication was the key to our success. A year after the start of this adventure, we decided to give ourselves a moment just for us. A week in a remote mountain chalet, an enchanted refuge far from the rest of the world. It was an experience that will forever remain engraved in my memories. The days passed slowly, immersed in the majestic beauty of nature, while the evenings were tinged with intimacy and magic in front of the crackling fire. But it was the nights that revealed the full intensity of our bond, moments of pure passion, full of visceral emotions that seemed to dissolve any doubt or fear. It was right there, between those wooden walls that whispered ancient stories, that I understood how incredibly lucky I was. I had not one, but two extraordinary men beside me, men who not only loved me, but also shared a deep and authentic bond with each other. What emotions do you think you would feel experiencing such an unconventional love? Write it in the comments. Once we returned home, everyday life resumed its course, or at least what had become normal for us. Our life as a threesome continued, intertwined in a network of complicity and sharing. There were moments of pure joy, and others more complicated. I remember well when Luca's mother came to live with us for a few months, following surgery. That situation forced us to review every gesture, every look, to hide our love behind apparent normality. It was a challenge, sure, but also a subtle and forbidden game that somehow fueled our desire. Over time, we began to ponder the idea of sharing our secret with someone we trusted. Not with everyone, obviously, but perhaps with one person who could understand and accept what we were. Luca seemed enthusiastic. Paolo hesitated, while I found myself torn between anxiety and curiosity. In the end, we decided to confide the truth to Elena, my best friend. His initial reaction was surprise, followed by a barrage of questions, some embarrassing, some deeply sincere. But what struck us most was his response. "The important thing is that you are happy, and it shows that you are." Those words were a balm for the soul. Having Elena as a confidant allowed us to look at our relationship from a new perspective, and her support became a light in times of uncertainty. Our intimacy, meanwhile, reached new heights. We knew every corner of each other's soul and body, every hidden desire, every little nuance that made our bond unique. It wasn't just physical passion, but an emotional journey, a continuous rediscovery through sweet caresses, complicit laughter, and moments of pure connection. Every meeting was a silent dialogue, a language made of gestures and glances that brought us closer and closer. When Paolo became ill, our union was tested in unexpected ways. Luca and I took care of him devotedly, taking turns at his bedside to make sure he was never alone. It was a difficult period, but at the same time incredibly significant. Once his illness was over, Paolo made us a proposal that we didn't expect. He wanted Luca and I to become parents. The idea took us by surprise, filling us with doubts and questions. How could we raise a child in such a particular situation? Yet after long reflection, we decided to give it a try. 9 months later, Sophia, our wonderful daughter, was born, the most precious gift that life could give us. His presence radiated a new light, transforming every corner of our home and our hearts. Every smile, every little gesture seemed to fill a void we didn't even know we had. When I looked at her, her eyes shone with a purity and joy that had the power to dissolve every doubt and fear. Sophia was surrounded by a unique love, 2 fathers who adored her with infinite tenderness, and a mother ready to protect her and guide her in every step of her life. Every evening, as I put her to sleep, I stopped to observe her and imagine the future we would build for her, made of security and affection. Of course, we knew that we had to be careful in our behavior, in how we showed our intimacy in front of her. But the little girl seemed to grow up in a serene atmosphere and surrounded by a sincere love capable of overcoming any convention. The years passed, bringing with them new challenges, but also countless moments of happiness. Every difficulty we faced made us stronger, cementing a bond that defied all convention. Now, 10 years later, I look back with gratitude. Our family is not traditional, but it is full of love, respect, and passion. Luca, Paolo, and I love each other like the first day, while Sophia, now a lively little girl, continues to grow surrounded by affection and protection. One day, I know we will have to explain to Sophia the true nature of our relationship, but until then, we will give her all the love she deserves, without reservations, because however unusual our bond may be, it is authentic, deep, and above all, indestructible. If you want to receive new videos of this series, write "I want the sequel" in the comments. If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to receive a preview of future publications. Thank you.